It is true that this is probably the most significant, meeting of the Exchange Club of Levittown, which today is joining all the Exchange Clubs of America to honor, those police officers, who have placed, their life on the line of duty. The motto that the Exchange Club, the National Exchange Club, has placed for all of us, as you can see in front of you, is say no to drugs and yes to life. We all know that drugs, drug abuse, and of course alcohol included in the drug abuse, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest problem, among our youth, this at the present time. We're all trying in different ways, to try to minimize, this problem. And of course, we at the Exchange Club, we are trying to do it by educating ourselves and then carry this education to the community, and more important to our homes, because the education has to start, right with the youngsters are really young, so they can be warned, of the serious complications of experimenting, with drugs. I have all kind of information here that the National Exchange, sent me, which it would take hours to go through, but we agree, wholeheartedly, with the purpose. That's as far as their motto for this year. We do have many crime prevention, programs. We have Operation Identification, we have Neighborhood Watch, we have many others, and I think among all the programs that we have, the one that I believe is the most outstanding is the Blue and Gold Wounded Service Award, that is given to those officers, that have been hurt in the line of duty. And this is the point, that has brought up us here today. Our guests today, of course, I will start with Mr. Elwood Cronk. I have known Mr. Cronk for many years. He came to my house when we were organizing the SNAP, in our section. SNAP means Safer Neighborhoods Are Possible. This is more than 15 years ago in the Forsythia section of Levittown. And of course, he has continued to do this excellent, work for the community. And with him, of course, is Lieutenant McKenna from the Middletown Township, Police Force, who has been the coordinator, of this excellent program. And of course, I have known Lieutenant McKenna for that many years too. It's been a real pleasure to have known you, and of course for you to be here today, this special occasion. Now we are here to honor, two officers from the Bristol Township, Department of Police, and I want to introduce first Captain Phillips, Herb Phillips, who was my liaison, person, and he kind of gave me all the information. And of course, our honorees today are Officer Andy Amoroso and Officer James Halleckman, and their lovely wives. As I said just a minute ago, this award, is the highest award, that the Exchange Clubs of America, will bestow on any police officers. And of course, we do have a special diploma and a special medal, that we will be presenting to you. So, would you please come and accept, these awards? Where are the and this too.
I'd rather have the money.
Go ahead, ladies. You're the ones who put up with it. Yeah, Mark.
Thank you. Did we finish it? I have the, what is it wrong with here? Oh, here it is.
Only get in back here.
Thank you.
Actually,
Yeah.
we know that we're behind. And we're officers. It will be handed. It's a pleasure. I believe it's a great honor for all of us, to have these officers here today who daily put their lives on the line, duty to protect us. Unfortunately, when we meet with them, it's usually in stressful circumstances that are not necessarily favorable to us. They're giving us a ticket or or they broke into our business and something like that. And of course, we really are under so much stress that we don't appreciate what they are doing for us. Even when they give you a ticket, they are really saving your life if you really want to know. And I think the fact, that we recognize them, for the job well done, I think we should give them a good round of applause. Also, we know that their wives are always supporting them. It's very difficult, for a police officer's family, to live under this constant stress. And I think you are just as valiant as they are. I think we also recognize you for that. And you have to remember that this is Crime Prevention Week. Actually, Crime Prevention Week is not 1 week in the year. It should be 52 weeks a year, every day of our lives. And anytime that we can do something to help our police officers, I think we should do it. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. That was. This is the Exchange Club. Yes,
on behalf of all the police officers, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you. Like the good doctor stated, most times we do not get a chance to see you as businessmen and professional people in the township. And the times we do see you are in stressful situations. But this helps our officers also. We come back and we relay to the officers exactly the way you feel about the police officers. It helps them get a closer understanding and a closer relationship with the business community. So there is no doubt about that in the minds of many officers, at the end of the day, the business community leaves and we're responsible for the businesses. And sometimes that gets a little on the nerves of everybody, officers and businessmen alike, because they're not quite sure and they don't understand what's happening. But because of people like yourselves in the Exchange Club, I'm sure this feeling is going to just grow into a mutual respect for everybody. And hopefully you keep up the good job you're doing, and we'll try to keep up our good job. And just one thing about the Officers Awards today, they weren't wounded with guns or anything like that. But a police officer, probably one of his most dangerous things out there is driving. Both these officers were very seriously injured while driving a patrol car. One of them hit by a drunk driver. So this may be another thing you people, if you're not already involved in, may want to look into, is the severe drunk driving problem we have, because that is what's injuring most of the people today, officers and civilians alike. Again, I thank you very much, and thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. To emphasize the importance of today and the crime prevention, we're also honored to have Andy Warren, our commissioner, Bucks County Commissioner, who has a proclamation to present to us. Andy?
I'd just like to take a minute and a personal commendation to the officers that you're recognizing today that we very often take for granted. This really came home to me in a very personal way the other night. I was coming home from a meeting about 11:15 and rounded the onto our street, turned the corner onto our street, and saw an ambulance and 2 police cars at our neighbor's house, and I figured, oh my goodness, our next door neighbor has had another stroke. And as I came down the road, you can imagine the feelings when I realized that the police cars were not in my neighbor's house, they were in my driveway. And my 11-year-old son had had a seizure, and the police were in fact taking him out. So from one very personal resident of Bucks County, congratulations to you both, to your wives who, when your husbands leave, aren't really sure just what they're going to come up with that night. I appreciate the fact that the work that you're doing in this part of the county as the way the police and ambulance in our part of the county. And in that vein, without getting too real personal, I want to commend the Exchange Club for your efforts in emphasizing the importance of saying no to drugs. I mentioned Matthew, my 11-year-old. Dottie and I have 2 sons. I didn't do it all by myself. Daniel is 15. He's a freshman at Log College Junior High School. Matthew is 11, and he's in 6th grade at Willowdale Elementary School. Both of them have come up against potential drug influence, and I include in drugs alcohol that currently obviously affected your guests here today. Again, junior high school, elementary high school people are affected by the very issue that you ladies and gentlemen are here speaking about today, and I commend you for it, because people, my sons, athletes that I coach at William Tennant, have got to know that business men and women are involved in the very issues that they face in their schoolyard. And without going through and reading all the whys and wherefores of this proclamation, I do want to, my arms are long enough here, I do want to get the concluding paragraph that mentions, whereas the Neighborhood Watch is an effective means of discharging criminal activities in residential areas through neighbor-to-neighbor cooperation, now therefore do we, the Board of Bucks County Commissioners, hereby proclaim February 9th through February 15th, 1987 as Crime Prevention Week in the County of Bucks. In so doing, we ask all our citizens, and in particular our young people, to heed the wisdom contained in these words, "Say no to drugs and yes to life," the slogan adopted this year by the Exchange Clubs of America as they launch their 40th annual crime prevention campaign, and it's signed by the 3 commissioners, Carl Fanash, Lucille Trench, and Andy Warren. And gentlemen, stay with it, because people have got to hear, my sons have got to hear, not from just their father, but if you say it, the guy who owns the drugstore, the guy who is in business, then it means something. And if everybody says it, we will, I am convinced, have an impact on this issue. There's none that affects us more than this one, and congratulations to the Exchange Club for taking the active part that you are.
Andy, thank you. Carl, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to ask Lieutenant McKenna, who's crime prevention officer, if you'd have a few remarks to make.
Give him all one.
Yeah, we've been involved with a crime prevention program in Middletown Township since 1974. And in the beginning, we thought it was an effort that was just a token effort on the part of the police department and community. But in the last 5 years, we've seen a substantial decrease in the residential burglaries in Middletown Township. You know, when I hired on 30 years ago now, I thought I was in the business of crime prevention, but it wasn't long after being on the force that I began to realize that I, as a police officer, have no real control over preventing crime. Crime had increased in the years that I've been on the police department, an average of 19%. But it wasn't until we got involved with the community, you, the people of the community, in partnership with the police department, that we begin to see a definite decrease in the residential burglaries. And so I am encouraged by your new motto, say no to drugs and yes to life. I think that's one of our greatest concerns in our neighborhoods today is the problem of young people getting involved in alcohol and drugs. We've pretty much had a handle on our burglary and major crime problems, but we're still bugged by the drug abuse, including alcohol. And I'm happy to see the Exchange Club taking that as a priority in their efforts. We certainly, in our police department, are making that our focus this year. Saying no to drugs and yes to life. And I thank you for having us here. I thank you for your participation over the years in the crime prevention program. It's encouraging to me as well as other police officers to know that the people in the community are behind us and do appreciate the effort that we're doing. And I just want to thank you for that.
On behalf of the Exchange Club, I also want to thank Andy Warren for coming here today, taking time out. I know how busy the commissioners are. And Dr. Hidalgo, I want to thank you for being such a fantastic worker. Elwood Crump. Well, I know if I call him Elwood, we won't get home to 3 o'clock. Elwood? Where is he? Now he's going, would you like to say a few words? Sorry about that.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate very much the opportunity of being here today. It's been my happy experience to have met with the Exchange Club many times over the years. And as I sat here this afternoon, I realized that 20 years ago tomorrow, I started working at the Lower Buck Community Centers. And I've been privileged to be involved in many aspects of Lower Buck's life. And the crime prevention work has been very, very meaningful to me. Because one of the important things about it is it's provided citizens with the opportunity, when they've been victimized, to do something. And I think this is has a very, very healing effect on people. But so often, if one has been a victim and nothing seems to happen when the police aren't able to apprehend the person who did it, why they feel very, very frustrated. And SNAP provides people with an opportunity to work together with their neighbors and restore their sense of confidence that together they can do something about the quality of life in the neighborhood and take control of that neighborhood. So thank you again for having me with you today.
For those who don't know, that there's a lot of young people here, so you've been around 30 years. And look around the room, we've got people, new members in the Exchange Club. I'm having trouble remembering names. Senility comes easy. But Elwood has not only been I don't know whether you were a director or actually with the SNAP. I know you've been involved in it for as many years as I can remember. But he also is the director of Bucks County Mediation Service. Thank you very much for your remarks.
That's our contribution toward the SNAP program.
And we got a check in here?
Yes.
We'll go give money?
Yes.
Oh. Well, this is a double pleasure.
That's for Mr. Crump.
Mr. Cron, $100 contribution for you. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Listen very carefully to these 7 simple words. Say no to drugs, yes to life. Let me repeat. Say no to drugs, yes to life. They're words which need no explaining. A cold fact of life in America today is that drug and alcohol abuse are the leading cause of teenage death. So if you're young with a genuine desire to grow older, listen again. In fact, whatever your age, repeat after me. Say no to drugs, yes to life. For children, for adults, for those in between. They're words worth remembering. Good words to live by. No to drugs, yes to life. This message has been brought to you by the Exchange Club of Levittown.